A thread from Carlos Osuita. This thread was put on Twitter just yesterday, so February 10th, 2020. So I'll just go ahead and start this. Again, the guy on Twitter is Carlos Osuita, at C Osuita, Osweda. Thread. Democrat BK for me has adopted the guillotine as a campaign symbol. Most people don't know the history of the guillotine. What made the guillotine different from earlier devices was the angled blade. The Halifax gibbet and the maiden had horizontal blades that pretty much smashed off your head. The angle of the guillotine blade was intended to make beheading painless. Of course, beheading by guillotine was anything but painless. When Louis XVI was beheaded, the blade hit him under the ear and went only halfway through his neck. Since he was still alive, the executioners leaned on the blade and pushed it through his neck. French aristocrats showed no emotion when executed, which gave the public the mistaken impression that the guillotine was as painless as advertised. Jeanne Bécu, the Comtesse du Barry, was the only person to fight for her life. She kicked and struggled the whole way. Her screams for help could be heard 5 miles away. It was her death that turned the public against the executioners, so one by one they all went to the guillotine themselves. The last French execution by guillotine was on September 10th, 1977. They'd stopped public executions because they were so horrific. The last public execution by guillotine was serial killer Eugène Weidmann, June 17th, 1939. Hamida Jandoubi was the last man executed by guillotine in France. He'd murdered his girlfriend, Elisabeth Bousquet. It's grotesque that a radical leftist opposed to capital punishment would adopt the guillotine as a campaign symbol. The candidate obviously doesn't oppose executing certain people, as in those who disagree politically. Today was interesting in that I've never heard more self-deluding rubbish in my life. Bernie is the leftist Trump, I heard. Like Trump, Bernie is a political outsider, and like Trump, Bernie has a devoted base. So Bernie can beat Trump. One little problem. Bernie's crowds are about 5% the size of Trump's. Today I figured out the final part of Trump's re-election strategy. It's shockingly brilliant. I knew that Trump would fool the pollsters, but I didn't know how. Trump is fooling the pollsters, and he isn't. That's how brilliant he is. The polls are accurate, but they're irrelevant. The secret is in this Gallup piece. Trump's strategy made the Democrats think they had a chance. What they didn't understand is that Trump made his approval rating a non-issue. In fact, Trump made sure to have low approval ratings. It's one of the many reasons he tweets. What Trump knew was that people would re-elect him in a landslide, even if they didn't like him personally, if he delivered. And he's delivered like no other president. That is how Trump fooled the pollsters. I heard poor old Juan Williams say that Trump has never cracked 50% in approval, while Bernie is the most admired senator. Doesn't matter. Admiring Bernie won't translate into voting for him. Trump's plan was to retrain us. He'll win in a gigantic landslide while still having a low approval rating. That was his strategy. Politicians want to be liked. Trump isn't a politician. He's indifferent to what people think of him. So he gamed it out. By simultaneously delivering and making people think he's a mean boor, he guaranteed that he'll smash any opponent into the ground. People don't like Trump's manners, but they like their new jobs and higher paychecks. Americans no longer put the economy at the top of the list when asked what they're most concerned about. That's the death knell for Democrats. Americans vote for Democrats when they're worried about the economy. Now they're not worried. The crazy Donald persona keeps the approval ratings low, which makes pollster and Democrats think Trump is vulnerable. He planned it that way. His own pollsters tell him how he's really doing. And the crowds tell us how he's really doing. Every day, I figure out something else that Trump is doing, and I can only shake my head. He's made Democrats adopt the guillotine as their campaign symbol. Think about that. And he defeated all the pollsters by distracting them. We're headed for Bernie as the nominee or a brokered convention. Whoever runs against Trump will have insulted and threatened the entire country, and they'll promise to make us Venezuela. So Trump will take 48 states. Easily. Maybe all 50. The end.